y'all, it's Laura and I am back with a Wedding Wednesday layout. It's been a while since we pulled out the wedding album and worked through it, so I thought we'd go ahead and do a little bit of that today. And I am using the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection from A Cherry on Top, and this is for their design team. Now, I wanted to challenge myself to do a slightly more masculine layout with this very floral collection. Now, there will still be florals on the layout, but not as many as I would normally use on a wedding layout of myself or one of the girls in my bridal party or anything like that. So I did tone down the florals ever so slightly. But I am still going to use some florals, and I am still going to use this beautiful collection because the layout that is in the album already, right next to it, is of my husband holding my oldest daughter. And so this side of the layout has my husband and my oldest son, both of whom are from my first marriage. And I wanted them to coordinate. So I had already done the first layout in Unforgettable, decided to go ahead and do the second one as well, because I'm not afraid to use florals on boy layouts, and I really love the elegance of this collection. Now, the trick for this one is I'm going to show you how to use clear stickers to create the look of mixed media on the background. Now, I don't get to this part till near the end, but I thought I'd mention it up front because it is something that I do if I have them. And this collection happens to have them. And so I thought we'd go in a big way, make it look like I had done a lot of mixed media work on the background, but really just clear stickers. And I love when these stickers are available on those types of designs because it does look like you've put some paint or spray or mist on the background and you really haven't. It's a great way to add a mixed media look without all the hassle of making a mess and warping your paper, and I always get it all over myself, let's be real. So I decided, let's give this faux mixed media layout a go. So now that I have my column in the background, this is a super easy way to start a layout. And I have my column, I've put 2 strips of paper down the side just to brighten it up a little bit because I thought the gray column was a bit boring by itself, and those strips of pink really help to make it stand out. Now my photos are both matted with florals, and you can't really tell they're florals. They just have a mix of the colors from the collection because you just get that very little matte there. And I have this wreath that I have fussy cut the white edge off of, and I'm going to cut it in half and put half above and half below the 2 photos. Now you may have noticed that I have taped these photos together, and that way I can move them around as one solid piece, and that makes it much easier to place items behind the photos. Once I've decided how I want those photos to be positioned, I can tape them together and move them as one solid piece, and that just makes the whole process so much easier. I can pick them up and I can slide things under them, and it's no problem. I don't have to worry about, oh, I've messed up the angle, oh, I've messed up this. It all stays together, which is really nice. So I'm going to be creating a bit of a cluster at the top right and the bottom right of the photo to kind of even out the 2 sizes. The one on the left is 4x6, the one on the right is 3x4. And the reason I chose to do this is because I really wanted to include the smaller photo, but it's not as good of quality. It was taken by a cell phone at our wedding, whereas the one on the left was taken by my brother, who had a professional camera. So in order to get similar qualities from both photos, I had to make one quite a bit smaller and in black and white. This ends up working to my advantage because I can bring in black elements without overwhelming the page. Because our colors were pink and silver, my husband and son's jackets were actually gray, not black. And by having that black and white photo, it allows me to use these black elements on the page without it feeling a bit off. It kind of helps to tie them together. Now I'm going to try a lot of different options here for embellishing, kind of playing with what I have from this collection. Some of these are cut aparts, some of these are ephemera pieces, and then I will bring in stickers at some point. Here are the florals from the collection. There's actually quite a bit more. but these are the ones that I had pulled out to try, and I have fussy cut the white borders off of them just because I find it easier to cluster florals when that border is gone, and quite a few of these florals just kind of lend themselves to be clustered together. So I am going to try at first to get this label here down below my photo. It doesn't end up getting to stay. I decided instead to put a big floral swag there, and I think that works a lot better. But this was an option that I considered, and I wanted to leave it in to give you some ideas how you could cluster things around your photos, because there's certainly not just one right way to do it. I like to leave in these bits and pieces, these ideas as they're coming to me, so that you can see this is an option. It's not what I went with, but it's still an option. So now I'm pulling in a couple of butterflies, and I'm going for the gray because I don't want them to stand out in a big way on the layout. I just want to add a little bit of texture and movement, and thought they looked pretty cool sitting on top of those wreaths. Those will get to stay because, you know, they're just a nice little touch, and every opportunity that I get to put a butterfly on a page, I'm going to take. Let's be real. So once I put down this giant floral swag, I realized that I really liked the way that that filled in the space beautifully and covered up those awkward edges there at the bottom. And then I decided, oh, let's try tucking in this little circle down at the bottom. I'd already done it up at the top, and this immediately introduced the idea of adding circles to the page. That will come into play a lot more later on, but that was the point at which I realized, oh, hey, I kind of like the way these circles look on this page. So here is the sticker sheet. As you can see, I've used quite a few stickers from this one already, but I am going to grab a few off of here. I did grab a label. I tried this one first, and it just blended in too much with the actual mats on the photos, and so I grabbed the darker one. I'm going to pop it over here on the right side. Almost all of my embellishing is on this right side just to help balance out the two-sized photos. But I will balance out the whole layout as a cohesive piece near the end. So as I get things situated, I will off camera tape and glue all of it down. So in just a moment you will see it kind of skip and things may move a little slightly. And that's because I have taken the time to take off the camera, glue everything down, and so you don't have to watch that whole process. Now, I do want to mention that I'm very excited to have Cocoa Vanilla Studio stuff available in a Cherry on Top's shop online because it is gorgeous. Everything that they make, I really, really enjoy. They have a mixture of both boy collections and more feminine collections, and they just recently came out with a Christmas collection. So you will be seeing some Christmas layouts coming very soon with that beautiful Merry and Bright collection. Now, as I get things situated, I pulled these two stickers off and realized that I could replace one of the circles at the top with the sticker and save the ephemera piece for later because I find ephemera easier to use. So if I can use a sticker instead, I will, just to get it used up. But then I decided I also wanted to use this sticker that has a small caption about memories, I think, or story, our stories. And I wanted to tuck that in kind of as a subtitle here at the bottom. And I could have used this as the main title, but when I get to the end, I feel like that bottom left side is very empty compared to the right, and I end up adding a large title there to kind of balance that out. This layout really is largely about balance, finding not just mirror embellishing like I did with the butterflies and the wreaths at the top and the bottom, but also just filling in the gaps and trying not to leave too many gaps open. So nestling in little bits and pieces underneath other pieces so that they're covering up any of those little gaps. This is a trick that I use quite often, and it helps to cover up any awkward spaces that you've created in your embellishing. And sometimes it's as simple as popping a couple of leaves underneath the floral like I did there. Sometimes it's just as simple as tucking in an extra shape behind a cluster of embellishments. Now, there are several times during this layout that I felt like, well, I could stop right here and be done. This is one of them, and it's very minimally embellished for me, but I have enough. There really is enough at this point that I could have stopped right here. Or even after just adding these word phrases here at the bottom, and it could have been done. It's fairly well balanced at this point. Everything has a place. We've got coordination from the top and the bottom, and these word phrase stickers kind of finish it off at the end. So we could have stopped right here. Didn't, but could have. There is another point at which I could have stopped, but did not. And that's okay. Sometimes you have to continue to explore and experiment and try new things, and I'm a huge advocate for that. And sometimes that means that your layout comes out a little busier than you intended it to, and that's okay too. I love a Bob Ross saying, there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. And I think that is so true in every creative field. Trying new things, making what you might think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's just what we call a happy little accident or an opportunity to embellish, which is something I have posted in my Facebook group, Scrapbook all the pictures if you want to join us. I have been encouraging my friends in there to share their projects, ask questions, and keep experimenting. Now here's another point at which I could have stopped. So I'm adding just a few of these clear stickers from the Unforgettable collection, and they have a mixed media, kind of a painty look to them. Now I could have stopped adding them just to the right side. This looks fine. It's completely okay. But when I thought I was done, I even come in and do my scattering and splattering, and I think I'm done. And then I step back and I look at the page and I think, why would I only do mixed media on one side of the page? And it occurs to me that I probably wouldn't. And so off camera, I will kind of fill in the left side to see if I like it and then realize that I did. And so you'll see me pop back in and do a little bit more work after I think I'm done, and I will round it out a little bit. And in the end, I really like the way that it looks, but it is certainly a different impression than you might have had just a few minutes ago of what this layout was going to look like. I did use a lot of clear stickers on this layout. That's not something I normally reach for, but I love this faux mixed media look, and these little hearts are great scattering pieces to put around your clusters. So I did that. I also am going to bring in my title. I'm going to use this small one here that says "The Best." And I'm going to affix that underneath that left photo because it felt a little empty. The one thing that I didn't count on was that T on best pretty much covers my son's feet. And the way I put it down, I wish I could have pulled it back up. I think I even tried to pull it back up and it doesn't quite work. It tried to pull off the photo. And so I end up having to just go for it. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend cutting off that much of the photo with your title, but see here, I tried to pull it back up. It did not work. And so I decided, nope, that's where you live now. That is your home. And just went ahead and added the right above best and just sort of nestled it in right there. That way we aren't creating too much of a gap. You can still read it. It makes sense. And I think adding the title was probably what threw off the balance of the layout and made me want to try adding the stickers on the left side as well and make that mixed media spread through the whole background. And at first I was like, no, I don't need that. But as soon as I put the title down and I realized I had weighted that left side a little too heavily with all of that black, and I felt like, no, I've got to do something a little bit more than that. So I will come in with some enamel dots, some Nuvo, and some Heidi Swapp Color Shine in gold to scatter and splatter, which is how I finish up all of my layouts. And then I'll pop back in and add a little bit more on the layout just to finish it off. So you will see in just a moment a little transition as I go from being what I thought was done to not so done. But I did go a little crazy with the enamel dots here, and I do end up actually pulling some off because I had added them to the journaling strips at the bottom as well as everywhere around the page, and I just felt like they were a bit too much, and there's already a lot going on with this page, so I felt like those enamel dots were weighing a little too heavily around the page and needed to be lightened just a little. So I do pull some of them back up, and I think I replaced the ones with the journaling strips with some Nuvo drops instead. Now, I'm using the Nuvo drops to dot around the clusters. I've had a couple of questions about Nuvo drops. Here are a few quick tips. Nuvo drops are a liquid that dries as a dome, so it creates your own enamel dots essentially. Couple of tricks that you may see me use. I warm the Nuvo drops up in my hands before I use them because they work much better if they're warm as opposed to cold. I also drop them usually directly from the top and pull up, and they will settle into a dome shape. That's not always a perfect dome shape, but it does help. So those are a couple of tricks for using Nuvo drops, but ultimately practice makes better. And trying them out on layouts or on cards or just practicing them will make you better at making the dome shape. Now, is every single one that I make perfect? Absolutely not. I make mistakes all the time, but I don't let it worry me because mixed media is not supposed to be perfect. It's just supposed to help you embellish. So now that I've gotten all of these stickers in the background, I've decided to come in with some punched scraps in circles, and these are papers from the Unforgettable collection as well. It's kind of a mixed media looking paper. So I decided to go ahead and glue down a bunch of these 1-inch circles around the outskirts there, kind of closing the gaps where the stickers are meeting. So I have several clear stickers meeting each other. Obviously they have seams, they have ends that are touching each other and they don't look quite right. And so by using these little circles to cover up those edges, it makes it look even more like mixed media. Now once I get these all in place, this layout will be done. So be sure to check out A Cherry on Top to see the Unforgettable collection. Until next time, bye!